same minds who created a comedy about the biblical apocalypse as well as a comedy about the assassination of Kim Jong-un now give you a goofy little Christmas comedy. I guess I'll settle for that. First of all, before I get into this review, I'd like to let you guys know that if I sound funny at all in this review, it's because I'm getting over a pretty bad cold. I could have squeezed in at least one non-Christmas review between this and Antichrist, but I was simply too sick to talk. By the sound of it, I practically still am, but let's see how far I can get, shall we? Anyway, The Night Before follows three best friends who have been hanging out with each other every single Christmas ever since a certain tragedy took place. However, as they're getting older and their priorities are changing, they realize that they can't exactly keep this tradition going, and so they've decided to go out with a bang by going to this legendary party known as the Nutcracker Ball. First of all, my favorite thing about this movie was the element of heart that it had going for it, which is pretty much an obligation when it comes to Christmas movies. I mean, Bad Santa, a film in which a grown man beats up an underage bully, had its moments where it tugged at my heartstrings. Joseph Gordon-Levitt is basically the emotional center of the story, and he arguably has the greatest personal growth to go through. And then, Seth Rogen, as usual, is kind of this loud, boisterous, funny character, and he has his own sort of journey to go on when it comes to facing his personal fears, and I actually don't quite know what Anthony Mackie's adventure was. I mean, maybe he was supposed to reconnect with his mother, maybe he was supposed to not let his personal fame get to his head, which doesn't sound completely accurate to me because, I mean, he's still hanging out with his best friends, but I don't know, maybe I'm just some kind of idiot, but there wasn't really much to his character that stood out in terms of some kind of personal arc. As far as the comedy in this movie goes, however, I would just say that The Night Before is alright. I mean, it's not the funniest movie that I've ever seen, but there were some laughs to be had. As can be expected, Seth Rogen was very much the funniest character in the movie, and there were some pretty awesome celebrity cameos, particularly during the final act. This movie has one of the best cameos that I've seen in recent memory. However, there were just long periods of time in this movie where I wasn't laughing, which isn't exactly the best thing to say about a comedy film. You don't go into a comedy to just sit there like, Also, Michael Shannon is in this movie. There's really not much else to say there. I mean, he doesn't really do anything funny. He's not really silly or over the top like he was in Premium Rush. He's just kind of there. I don't even think he was acting in this movie. He just sort of recited his lines and collected his paycheck. And then at the end of the movie, there was a twist involving Michael Shannon's character, which ended up confusing the shit out of me for one thing, and for another, this is something else that's not very flattering to say about any comedy, but it ended up reminding me of Christmas with the Cranks. In the end, this movie's not completely horrible. I mean, like I said before, there are some legitimate laughs to be had, and I do like some of the more heartfelt moments, but it's definitely not the best that Seth Rogen and company have come up with. And I would say I pretty much have the same thoughts on this as I did on Home Alone 2 last year. If you really want to watch this movie, I won't discourage you, but if you really want to see like a raunchy Christmas comedy done well, then just watch Bad Santa or even a very Harold and Kumar Christmas. And that's all I've got to say. I hope y'all have a good one.